Right, today I'm going to be doing a comparison video between two of probably the most well-known action cameras on the market today. On the right hand side I've got the GoPro Hero 7 Black. There we go, let's just boot her up. Front display, rear display. Obviously you've all seen these before, but I wanted to do a comparison video between the two. And then here on the left I've got the Sjcam Sj8 Pro, which is their top of the line action camera. Get that booted up, but it's booted up reasonably quick. Front display again. It's an OLED display on that, so far easier to see in the dark compared to the GoPro. And it's all too easy when you're messing with these things to actually go into the settings by mistake. So yeah, you've got the LCD display on the front of the GoPro, and then you've got like the OLED display on the front, if it can bother to focus, on the Sjcam. So yeah, it's the two differential. So it should be tracking it now. There we go. If you've noticed, there's a little bit of a difference in my video techniques today because I've actually pushed the boat out. I've got an overhead rig for my camera now. I'm using a proper ring light and I'm using a lapel mic as well, so hopefully better sound as well, just to try and polish the reviews between the two. So I'm going to go through the specs. I know I went through the specs on the Sj8 Pro compared to the Sj8 Plus. The issue is with GoPro, they're very reticent on broadcasting what is exactly inside these cameras. I suppose there's a lot of speculation, but we'll go through the specs that I know. We'll go through the ins and outs. We'll have a quick look at the differences in the apps, and then most importantly, we'll go and do some of the video testing to compare the two to see what they're like. As I said, GoPro are very reticent in explaining what's inside their cameras. All they've put is that they use a proprietary GP1 system. It's the one that they've used in the past. It's something that they're saying that they've developed themselves. All I will say is, whatever the processor is inside this thing, it does a damn good job. I've always sworn that I would never buy a GoPro. Recently, if you watch my video when I went up Snowdon, I took my Sj8s up there, inside waterproof cases. So you've got to put it inside that to make it waterproof. It muffles the sound. I didn't have any external sound recordings at the time. Looking back on it with hindsight, I should have done that. And the sound was absolutely atrocious. It's all very well getting the footage, but if the people that are watching your videos can't hear what you're talking about, what's the point of making the damn video? The beauty of the GoPro is, of course, that's waterproof as it is. I believe it's down to 10 meters. Obviously that thing in there is 30 meters. It's horses for courses, but this, even though it's very expensive, ticks more boxes than this one for me. But this still has its plus points, hence the reason I'm keeping it. So yeah, it's a proprietary chipset that they put inside the GoPro, but it's fast. It would be nice to know what it is, what the clock speed is compared to the Sj8s. Obviously the Sjcam are far more forthcoming when it comes to describing what's inside their kit. They use an Ambarella H22 chipset. The image sensor is a Sony IMX377. The lens is a 7-glass 2 spherical lenses included. It's 85 grams. Size, I'm not going to go on saying what the size is, but at the end of the day, that's the size. There you go, the two compared. Very, very similar. At the end of the day, they're action cams. Very, very similar in size. Weight differential, again, I'd say that the GoPro's got slightly more heft to it, but it certainly isn't going to break your arm. You're not doing a Casey and I start walking around with an ATD on the end of a boom or anything like that. The Sj8 Pro is by far the best Sjcam that they've come out with. It really is a lovely feeling cam. The finish on them is both very, very similar. It's like a soft rubberized outer. It's quite non-slip. Battery compartments, that's hinged on the bottom of the Sj8, and obviously exactly the same on the bottom of the GoPro. The difference being, obviously there's going to be water seals on inside the GoPro compared to the Sj8, because the Sj8 as itself inherently isn't waterproof at all. You might get away with a quick shower, but you're not going to do anything else with that unless you want a dead camera. Obviously everything else on the GoPro is sealed, so a little bit more awkward to make sure that it clicks into place. On the side of the GoPro, open the side up, obviously you've got your USB-C connector, your micro HDMI, so that's for charging on the side. The Sj8 is obviously slightly different because on the side of that is a little flap. That's your USB-C, and that's it. That's all there is on the side of the Sj8 Pro compared to the GoPro. On that side, if we bring it round, you've got your start button. The start button for the GoPro is exactly the same. It's there. It's on the side, same side of the camera. On the top, you've got your enter button to go through selecting different modes on the GoPro. Exactly the same on the Sj8. Obviously start and stop video to take a photo and so forth. As I mentioned earlier, displays on the side are completely different. On the front, sorry. LCD on the GoPro. Boot her up again. To be honest with you, much prefer the display on the front of the Sj8 Pro. The fact that you can see it in the dark is always really good. The lights are more pronounced on the front to show you when it's recording compared to the GoPro. If we just start a recording now, there you go, we're recording on the GoPro. We've got a little red LED on there. Start the Sj8. There you go, blue versus red. It's nice, it's subtle on the GoPro. I do like it. Does the same job at the end of the day, so it's not really going to matter. Stop and recording. The big difference for me is the display on both of these. Huge difference on the displays. Let's just make sure we're in focus. Personally, much prefer the display on the Sj8. It's bigger for a start, so it's easier to see. I think the colours are nicer. And the other big thing as well, which I have a problem with the GoPro, whether it's because I've been so used to Sj8s, Sjcams over the years, it's the interface. It's good, you know, to go into your different settings. If I want to go through into video settings, I can just choose that, but you've got to press it a couple of times. It doesn't always take. And then you've got this business where you've got to wait for whatever you choose to turn blue. Sometimes you can press on it and it can take a couple of seconds. You've got to wait for it to change. It's just not snappy. Big difference with the Sj8 Pro. It's just everything's instantaneous, and I find it a lot easier. So if I click on that now, I can go straight through and it gives me different settings for what I want. If I want to go through, lovely interface, nice and colourful, much prefer it, can go through into everything that I want. Main settings, exactly the same. What happens a lot of the times with the GoPro, I've found I'm out in the field and I literally, whether it's an age thing, I forget what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'll click on something and I can't get what I want. You know, if you're swiping, so if I swipe across, I can then choose between photos. So, see, you've got to click, and it's a faff. It's not as easy as the Sj8. If I scroll down, obviously then I've got my preferences. I can go into my settings. scroll up, then I can actually look through the videos and everything that I've watched, so I can play something back if I want. I can scroll through them, he says. There, I can choose them. I've only got the one on there. You can scroll through everything that you've done, and then I've got to come back out of that, and it doesn't always want to do it. You've got to scroll a couple of times, whereas again on the SJ, if I scroll, I can go straight into quick settings, and then if I want to play my videos back, and then I can choose. So if I want to watch my videos, I can just choose them straight away. Little arrow, an arrow saying to me which way I want to go. Yeah, the interface is still small. You will sometimes miss it. I mean, at the end of the day, I've got reasonably fat fingers. I think if you've got small fingers, it might be a lot easier. But I just much prefer the ease of the interface on the Sj8 than I do on the GoPro. Personal preference, but each their own at the end of the day. Obviously, the things that they do, very similar. The video, I tend to do most of my recordings obviously in 1080p, either 25 frames a second or 60 frames a second. Both of them have got slow-mo. We'll do a bit of slow-mo in a bit. Sj8, 1080p, 120 frames a second. GoPro will go up to 240 frames a second, which is phenomenal, and it looks damn good as well for something with such a small sensor. I don't really record in 4K. Both of them will do 4K 60 frames a second. Both of them have got image stabilization. Obviously with this you can alter your angle. You can go wide. You can go, I keep it in linear because I don't want the curves as I'm recording. With this thing, unfortunately, well, unfortunately or fortunately, you've either got wide or you've got super wide, which that's what action cameras are for. You can alter it so that it stops in the perspective, the curve as much, which obviously again is what I've got set up, and it does a damn good job. I think the video on both of them is exceptional. Time lapse. This does time lapse. This does time lapse, but this also does like a hyperlapse. So with the time lapse, the camera takes loads of photos automatically and then stitches them together, saving you loads of time so you haven't got to do it in your video editing, and then you've got your time lapse. This, as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there, it does a video. It actually takes a video, and then the video clip is what is sped up. So that's why when I've done some, if you watch my last one where I was walking around Ballston Downs, it glides, that you don't get any transition between each image that's taken, irrespective of what you do. Even if this was, you were recording this at 4K 60 frames a second, it was taking images to make a time lapse. This thing's just buttery smooth. Right, what I've done, I've loaded the actual app software onto my tablet so that you're not messing around looking at a tiny little screen. I will do a review on this tablet. This is the new Galaxy Tab S4, which I am absolutely in love with. It's an amazing thing. Sorry about the fingerprints on the front. I know people moan like mad about stuff, but hey, that's what you get for interfacing with stuff. Obviously it's a far bigger screen, but it looks far better than using it on a phone. So yeah, I'm connected at the moment to the Sj8, dead easy. All I did, swipe down from the top, choose Wi-Fi, password 12345678, dead easy. There you go, you can actually see my new rig now. That is my overhead on there, if you can see that, a lot better. Interface is dead simple with it. There's virtually no lag between the two, other than the fact it's obviously got image stabilization switched on at the moment. I can see the charge down in the left hand corner of my camera when I'm using it. I've got video down there. I can actually choose between the two, click on that. In the bottom left I can choose video, short video, video lapse, slow record, photo, photo lapse, burst mode, video, photo, car mode. Click anywhere, come out of that. Obviously I can switch the thing on and off there, which I'm not going to do. Bottom left right hand corner, I can go through there, and then I can choose anything that I've done that I've saved across. So there I can photo, video, there you go, there's a video there. I can just download that straight through into if you're using a phone or my tablet. Come back out of that. Settings, dead easy. Click there, I've got everything that I need. Right, we've connected the GoPro. Slightly convoluted. It's the first time I've connected the tablet to either of these cameras. It didn't take me that long because obviously I knew what I was doing from when I connected it to the phone. But that's supposed to be a live connection at the moment. For some reason we're not getting it broadcasting across. Right, for some reason I'm not getting a live view on the GoPro. It works fine with my phone, but as I move the camera around, that's staying static. But it is connected because, as I said, I can click and start recording. I can stop recording. So what we'll do is we'll just look at the interface compared to the Sj8 so that you can see what the differences are. Obviously, I can choose the different settings on the bottom. I can choose whether I want it to be in photo mode, in video mode, time lapse. Now on time lapse, you get this little picture of a rocket ship, which is obviously the hyperlapse. There you go, you click into that, gives you different settings. Time warp video, time lapse video, time lapse photo, night lapse photo. I haven't used any of them. The one I always use is time warp video, which is the one that gives you the really smooth video effect, and then obviously in conjunction with the amazing built-in stabilization, it gives you a really nice interface. If I go into video, then obviously it's showing me I'm in 1080p 25 frames a second linear. Top left hand side shows me how long that I can record for. I can then go straight through into the settings. Again, it's very similar in a way to the Sj8. One thing that I will say compared to the Sjcam is that the photos with this again are brilliant. I think that they're almost as good as those that you take with a decent mobile phone. Not sure what the sensor size is compared to a mobile phone, but it's a really good photo, and you can really alter them. I've taken some absolutely cracking photos with this, and if you're in photo mode as well, on the front, I've got it set at the moment, it auto sets the actual display. So if I do it sideways, if I'm doing it in portrait mode, it will actually alter on the front into portrait mode, which is really, really clever to show you what you're doing. Shows you your countdown timer and everything else in the front. So yeah, absolutely cracking. Yeah, the interface, very, very similar. Live, I can do live broadcasting on the GoPro. So to Facebook or YouTube live, anything like that, again, which is really clever. Right, so we've had a look at the two apps. We've seen what that is. Now the important stuff, I'm going to do some video. Okay, so I'm recording inside. It's quite dull. I am standing in front of a window at the moment. I've got the conservatory opposite me. There is some sunshine outside. It's not a bad day outside. So you can see what they're both like in low light. They're both set to exactly the same parameters. Both set to what would be the equivalent of linear, so distortion correction is on. Both recording in 1080p, both recording at 25 frames a second, both recording sound. Both of these cameras allow the use of an external microphone. With the Sjcam, it's just a mic that plugs in the side via USB-C. With the GoPro, you've got to spend about £50 on an adapter that plugs in it. Yeah, thanks ever so much for GoPro for making me spend even more money. Even though I've tested both, the external mic's really good on the GoPro. I haven't had much success with the one that came with the Sj8 Pro. It is a legitimate Sjcam mic, but the sound is absolutely atrocious on it. It's clipped and you can hardly hear it. I'm going to have to do some more testing on that. So I will perhaps do a further video in the future comparing external sound recordings for both of these cameras, so that for vlogging purposes. So yeah, this is inside at the moment with a window behind me. Hopefully you can see me okay. Right, we'll go outside now. Okay, I'm recording outside now. It's quite a chilly day. The sun is out. There you go. sun is just starting to dip down over the horizon. Here's to lighter nights. Obviously forecast for next week is saying that it's going to get even colder and we may have some snow. So yeah, that's quite bright at the end of the day. If I just dip down onto the direct bright light, obviously this is my slightly messy garden, wintry garden. If I do some videos, so I've got the sun behind me, so that's obviously with me rear illuminated. See what you think on the video with that. As I said, stabilization is switched on both. So what we'll do is we'll do the stupid running up and down the garden test now. That's with stabilization on both of them. So if you're walking around and doing a bit of vlogging, I've got the GoPro Hero 7 on the right hand side, which should end up on the left of your screen. I will put a note on to show. On the left I've got the Sj8 Pro. So yeah, see what you think. That is the footage on both of the cameras. As I said, stabilization is really good. So if I go up and down now, and we'll give it a good jog up and down and we'll see what the stabilization's like. So that's quite serious, moving the cameras around. See what you think on that. Okay, there we go. Right, now let's take some photos. Right, so testing the mic on the GoPro, testing GoPro Hero 7 Black, testing 1 2 3. Testing on the Sj8 Pro, testing 1 2 3. I do know that the wind noise suppression on the Sj8 affects the sound quality significantly, to the point that it makes it unusable in windy conditions. So you would need to have an external sound recorder. I've found that the GoPro for the sound recording built in is really, really good. Again, another plus point to the GoPro. Right, that concludes my brief test between the GoPro Hero 7 Black here on my left hand and the Sjcam Sj8 Pro in my right hand. Just a brief test between the two. I've got them set to 1080p, 25 frames a second, just to give you an idea on the quality between the two. A quick bit showing the differences in image stabilization. Without a doubt, on the Sj8, it is the best stabilization that they've ever put in an action camera from Sjcam. It is 6-axis stabilization. The one that's inside the GoPro, I think, is actually based on magic. It's really good. It is literally, as they say, a gimbal killer. I'm not going to be binning my gimbals any day soon, because if you want remarkably smooth footage, I still think that you need to use a gimbal on them. But it is very, very good. Time-lapse is good on this, I'm sure you'll agree. If you look at some of my other videos that I've done where I'm walking around and doing the hyperlapse on this, again, it's like magic. It really is brilliant. They are both exceptional cameras. Whether this is worth twice as much as this one is entirely up to you. I can't make that judgment call. I purchased both of these. Any kit that I review, I'm not a big YouTube channel. I do not get anything off anybody. I'm Gary Gadget. I like doing the reviews, and hopefully you like me doing them as well. Hopefully my new setup has enhanced it a little bit. I'm filming on the M100 at the moment, and for the first time ever, I'm actually recording the audio externally on a Zoom H1N. So hopefully it's a bit more polished for you. As I say, they have the pluses and minuses. That's got a tripod mount underneath. That hasn't. Why? I've no idea. You've got to put the GoPro in this protective case in order to use a mount on it. It's a faff because you've got to take it out the case if you want to change the battery, blah, blah, blah. That's the other thing. The battery life on this, on the SJ, if I keep it in my pocket and keep it warm between shots when it's cold outside, I'm getting an hour plus. I do most of my recordings at 1080p anyway. This, you're lucky to get 40 minutes. One thing though, SJ batteries, rocking horse poo. Really hard to come across. You've got to order most of them from China. I've managed to get one battery extra for this thing. These batteries dead easy. It takes the same battery as the GoPro Hero 5, 6 model. They're all exactly the same. Do not buy the GoPro batteries. They're a rip-off. I got these from Red Pro. Same spec as the GoPro ones. I got 3 of them plus a charger for like 20 quid off Amazon. And it's a USB-C port charger. It charges them really quick. It shows you the charge level. I will do a follow-up review showing you what they're like on the sound between the two and what the accessories are like. Again, the mic and remote for the SJ though are very cheap. The GoPro remote, very expensive. I brought one third party, does exactly the same thing, got a screen on, half the price of the GoPro. It's a no-brainer. The camera itself is expensive. For me, it's worth it. The accessories, the price, I don't think they're worth it. How they can charge 30, 40 pounds for a selfie stick for the damn thing when you can actually just get a third party one off eBay for about £6 that does the same thing is beyond me. If you like your brand stuff and you want to throw your money away, buy everything that says GoPro on it. I don't. I'm not into stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed the brief comparison video between the two. You watch, I've done quite a few videos over this last few weeks using this, the GoPro, and it really is now my take anywhere camera. I don't take my M100 or my M50 out anymore unless it's, you know, a specific shot that I want to do. I do virtually all my filming either on my phone or the action cameras, because I think for YouTube, you know, as the everyday dad says, I'm not a videographer. I enjoy photography, but I'm not a photographer. I think absolutely perfect for what I need. Thank you very much for all my new subscribers. It's really appreciated. If you've enjoyed the video, as always, hit the thumbs up button. That's always gives me a boost. Sometimes I do put affiliate links between this and you know, items on Amazon. If you want to purchase it through that, then it does contribute towards the channel. I think I've made now the dizzying heights of something like £3.50 in the last 2 years. So, you know, I'm getting there. I will be retiring soon on it. But I do it for the enjoyment. If it is your first time, please consider subscribing. That would be great. I'd love to get up to 1,000 subscribers. I'm almost at 300. If I can get up to 1,000 in the next 12 months, I would be over the moon. But I'm going to carry on producing the videos anyway. Comments, again, always appreciated. I will always answer every comment on there. If you've got any questions and I can help you on anything, fire away and I'll do my best to answer you. If I don't know myself, I'll go away and research it and I'll give you the answers. And until next time, as always, stay safe. Thanks very much.